orbit. If you take a picture of the sun at exactly the same time every day, you get this, a solar analemma. The same pattern here is obvious on the sundial I made for our home. I can read this usually to within about 5 minutes. I took a 6-month-long time exposure of the sun moving across the sky above my house. The dark areas are when it was sunny, and the white areas are when it was cloudy. This is the camera that I used to take the picture with the bracket attached to the chimney. November 8th, 2006, I took this picture of Mercury transiting the surface face of the sun with my homemade folded solar telescope. With my 8-inch Meade telescope in 2004, I caught Venus, a very rare transit of it moving across the sun. I also saw it in 2012 from Italy, but of course I didn't have my equipment then. Another transit of Venus will not be observed again until all of us are long gone. In my junior and senior year of high school, I recorded the sunspots from May 16th until September 15th, 1968. I used my 3-inch $30 Edmund Scientific Newtonian refracting telescope. I used eyepiece projection to project onto a screen mounted to the telescope, and this paper was mounted on the screen, and then I sketched over the solar image to record the sunspots. On cloudy days, I made an estimated drawing by interpolating between 2 previous drawings on either side. I had trouble with the north and south pole of the sun because with my altitude azimuth mount, the north pole of the sun would rotate depending on what time of day it was. So that was one difficulty I was having. If you watch closely, you can see I caught some of the sunspots disappearing back behind the sun and coming out again on the other side. The sun rotates at the equator once every 27 days and at the poles once every 31 days. It does not rotate as a solid body. I did record quite a few sunspots in these images, probably due to the fact that we were approaching an 11-year cycle of the solar maximum. Correction, it was a 3-inch reflecting Newtonian telescope. Using similar techniques, I recorded a partial solar eclipse from my home at 705 West Kirby on September 11th, 1969. In 1991, there was a solar eclipse. I had a 4-day notice, and I jumped in a car with 3 other guys from the university, and we drove for 35 hours straight through from Champaign to south of Mexico City. Saw the July 11th, 1991 solar eclipse. Lasted for 6 minutes and 53 seconds, almost the theoretical maximum. Not going to be a longer one until 2132. On May 10th, 1994, there was an annular solar eclipse in Champaign, Illinois. It's not a total eclipse, but it did make a complete ring. It's just that not the full sun was covered. Both Jody and I took off from work and had a wonderful day in the partial sunshine. Jody remembers it being really, really quiet. The birds got quiet. The insects got quiet, the wind died down, it got dim, and Jody and I found each other whispering to each other. One of the coolest things was the partial eclipse shining through the tree leaves. The tree leaves make sort of like a little pinhole camera. So we got all these little crescents, and during the maximum there were these little rings that were projected onto the driveway. Probably the coolest eclipse I saw. The Mexican one was the longest, but this one was the most beautiful setting on the cruise ship Mazdam, February 26, 1998. We took a 14-day cruise and saw the eclipse. On the day of the eclipse, everybody had their equipment all set up and was looking at each other's stuff, and you'd go, well, yours might be bigger than mine, but I know how to use mine better. Jody calls it aperture envy. The beginning part of totality, right before it goes into totality, is called the diamond ring, for obvious reasons. I took a lot of pictures of the eclipse. The difficulty was the cruise ship kept moving, so I had to keep readjusting the camera and the lens. They don't really belong with the moon and the sun, but as long as I'm showing you my stuff, I want to show you the pictures I've taken of deep sky objects. This is the Great Andromeda Galaxy, spiral galaxy, 2.5 million light years away. All of these are about a minute-long exposures. This is the Great Nebula in Orion, a star-forming area. Also in Orion is the Horsehead Nebula to the right and the Flame Nebula to the left. This is a wide-angle shot with a 35mm lens on the same camera of Cassiopeia, or as I like to call it, the Big W. This is a 20-minute long exposure with the same setup of the circumpolar area.